Surprising things that you didn't know about Gordon Ramsay. Come on now. You already know that I'm a total Gordon Ramsay fanboy at this fucking point. I freaking love the guy. And I want to know things about him that I didn't know before. If you want to watch this original video, it is by The Richest. Amazing YouTube channel. Excellent top 10 content. Make sure you check the link in the description down below for them. Go watch a bunch of stuff. Also, where I got that whole meme about me being into zombies is because the richest do not clickbait. The video was about people who dated zombies, and it was really a video about people who fuck dead people, which is awful. But it lets you know that they're about what they say they're about. So I'm confident that this is going to be a great video. So let's get into it, man. Hi ho diggity. That's not a good war call. Let's do it.
If you've watched any amount of television over the last decade, then you probably have a good idea who Gordon Ramsay is.
I do.
This Scottish-born chef has developed a reputation for being a perfectionist, complete with a rather foul mouth and hair-trigger temper. As we know from his shows, if you disappoint Chef Ramsay, expect to receive an earful of expletives. While he may be a well-known celebrity today, there are likely a few things you don't know about Gordon Ramsay, and we have them right here.
Sweet.
Now, we're not going to lose our tempers and yell at you, but we would like you to provide a correct answer to our quiz.
Okay.
It'll be asked during the video, so be prepared to give your response.
I am ready.
Until then, clean those pans, sharpen those knives, and hit those subscribe and notification buttons so you don't miss out on any of our newest video releases. Fast food.
What?
One thing is for certain, whenever we watch any of Gordon Ramsay's shows, like Hell's Kitchen and Kitchen Nightmares, we end up getting pretty hungry. After all, you can only watch so much of a cooking show without having your mouth fill with saliva.
Why did you have to make that
Although it's
gross?
just television, some of us assume that someone like Chef Ramsay practices what they preach. You know, since he has dedicated his life to fine dining and creating incredible dishes, he likely eats like this all the time. Well, it's a bit of a yes and no answer to that. You see, Ramsay has said in numerous interviews that he cooks up interesting dishes at home and even shows his kids how to create things.
Right.
On the road, however, it can be a bit of a different story. For instance, you may not know that he absolutely can't get enough of In-N-Out fast food.
What?
His favorite? The double cheeseburger, animal style.
What?
For those of you that don't know, this adds extra pickles, grilled onions, Thousand Island dressing, and mustard grilled patties to the burger. Did anyone else suddenly get really hungry?
A lot of people don't like In-N-Out. We have In-N-Out here in Vegas, and I love the place, but a lot of people don't like In-N-Out, man.
Unconventional eater. This Hell's Kitchen chef comes across as the type of person who is all about following the rules. After all, we've seen how Gordon Ramsay demands procedures and recipes to be followed to the T. Everything appears strictly scheduled because in the restaurant business, if you're not on schedule, your guests can get pretty angry. Interestingly, in addition to his love of In-N-Out burgers, Chef Ramsay throws another wrench in the works when it comes to the time he eats.
That's terrible.
For most of us, we were raised on and follow a 3-meal-a-day regimen.
I really
After
don't.
all, what would a day be without your standard breakfast, lunch, and dinner times?
Who does that still? Do people still eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner like if you're not in school? Like if you're in school, they force you to eat at least lunch. And I'm assuming you eat breakfast before you leave or at least on the bus or some shit, but I don't know anybody else who does that.
It would end up being something like Gordon Ramsay's eating schedule. Throwing traditional order out the window, Ramsay has told reporters that he eats 5 times per day.
Yeah.
Fortunately, each meal doesn't involve greasy cheeseburgers. Instead, he starts the day with a juice made from a blend of green and leafy
Juice is not a meal. That is juice.
vegetables. From there, it's all about getting balanced levels of proteins and carbohydrates. We guess that when you're as busy as
God damn, he's in that man's mouth. What the fuck?
Ramsay is, it makes sense to eat like this in order to keep your energy levels as steady as possible without the crashes many of us experience. He's had work done. In addition to his cooking,
What? I just realized what you
and
mean.
profanity-laced tirades, a key characteristic of Gordon Ramsay that makes him stand out among the rest are his rather defined facial features. What do we mean? Well, to put it mildly, the chef has had quite a few deep and well-defined lines and wrinkles. We imagine they came about thanks to his 4 children and the stress of balancing a restaurant empire with the demands of television. Constantly having a scowl on his face and chewing out contestants likely didn't help at all either. According to him, his kids made quite a lot of fun of his wrinkles, and even the world-famous chef referred to the situation as being like Scarface.
Goddamn.
Nonetheless, Ramsay himself noticed the lines and decided maybe a little work wouldn't hurt. The final bit of persuasion reportedly came from Simon Cowell, who urged his fellow TV star to get the lines worked out. According to Ramsay, the procedure involved only a laser and no Botox. After several minutes, everything was done, and many of those deep lines we once saw are now smoothed out or altogether gone.
I mean, if you're going to get work done, that's how you should do it. Trying to keep the natural shape of your face, not making it look like you have a balloon injected into your cheeks.
Second chances. If you've watched even a few episodes of Hell's Kitchen, then you know a screw-up can cost you your spot in the competition. Whether you burn that steak, undercook that cake, or put in too much spice, a slip-up is a
What are you? An idiot sandwich.
great way to get an earful from Gordon Ramsay. In fact, contestants who make mistakes often face the axe whenever it comes time to drop someone from the show. So, does this apply to Gordon Ramsay in real life? You have to figure
Hell
that Gordon
no.
Ramsay has to be as strict with the rules in real life as he is on TV. After all, we imagine you can't grow a restaurant and TV empire by letting errors go by unpunished. Well, it turns out Ramsay may be a little more forgiving and more willing to hand out second chances than any of us first thought.
What is that one chef that really obnoxious dude, Ryan or Matt, that really arrogant chef that he had on the show? But then he gave that dude a second chance when that guy came into his office and talked to him about it, right? He's a pretty reasonable sounding guy.
This was displayed for all to see in one broadcast where he visited a prison and challenged one inmate to an onion chopping competition.
My nigga.
Ramsay was so impressed that he offered the man a job once he got out. Unfortunately, the individual ended up going right back to prison within days of his release. But Ramsay says the offer is always on the table.
Wow, that's cool.
Dangerous
Fucking
show.
good guy.
Gordon Ramsay has hosted and appeared in numerous shows, ranging from late-night talk shows to his very own cooking competitions. But which of these was his favorite? Was it Hell's Kitchen that saw him pit aspiring chefs against one another, all while he yelled and tormented them? No. Was it Kitchen Nightmares, where he went in and fixed up sinking restaurants, improved the food, service, and decor?
I bet you it's the kids one.
Nope. It turns out a show called Shark Bait was the most
Oh, I heard about
rewarding.
this. I've never seen
In
it,
Ramsay
though.
traveled to various locations to uncover the practice whereby fishermen cut the fins off sharks. In many places, shark fins are considered a delicacy, while in places like the US, it has been banned. Every year, millions of sharks are killed for their fins, and Ramsay wanted to give the public the truth behind the whole practice. What made this whole episode so dramatic was the way he was treated in Taiwan. In his efforts to uncover fishermen who were harvesting shark fins, Ramsay made a few enemies, had guns pointed at him, was
Whoa.
doused in gasoline, and eventually told to get out of the country. It all proved to be a very real eye-opener.
They doused him in gasoline? What? We're gonna check that out as soon as humanly possible. Are you fucking serious? That's insane. That's fucking crazy.
Okay, time for our quiz. Restaurants with extraordinary reputations are given something called a Michelin star rating. Do you know which city in the world has the most Michelin star rated restaurants?
Las Vegas. Let's go for it. Either that or New York.
The
I'm going with
answer may surprise you.
city, right? City, not state?
In shape.
I wasn't listening.
Let's face it, when most of us think about athletes, your mind doesn't jump to a world-renowned chef. It's probably because chefs are known for their meat
Ramsay's badass,
dishes
bro.
and cream-based soups, not their athletic prowess. After all, can any of you picture Guy Fieri or Mario Batali taking on a marathon?
That's fucked
In a
up.
nutshell, chefs make food and usually eat that food, which doesn't bode well for the whole in-shape thing. Then there's Gordon Ramsay.
Hell yeah.
While he can make a range of high-fat and sugar dishes, this chef is also in pretty good shape. How good? Well, he's run the London Marathon several times and has also entered into triathlon competitions. He famously had to drop out of the 2015 event in Hawaii because he pushed himself too hard and ended up with dehydration.
Dang.
It wasn't always this way, however. According to Ramsay, his motivation to get into shape came in 2001 when critics made fun of his weight while he competed in the London Marathon. This, combined with the fact his father died at an early age, has provided the motivation for him to live a more active lifestyle. Nearcollapse. With dozens of restaurants owned and operated around the globe, countless television appearances, and several well-received television programs and documentaries to his name, you could say Gordon Ramsay is pretty successful. Today, with yearly earnings of $50+ million,
Jesus
it's safe to say he
Christ.
doesn't have much to worry about financially. Just several years ago, however, this was not the case. In 2010, Ramsay looked successful and financially secure to the outsider. He had his restaurants and television shows, and everything seemed fine. However, allegations of an affair coupled with a near overexpansion of his restaurant empire almost brought things to a crashing halt. Opening new restaurants across the globe left him with a massive multi-million-dollar debt, matched only by an equally massive tax bill.
Yeah,
to top it all off, several of his newer establishments had lost money to the tune of several $1 million. Financial experts all suggested he declare bankruptcy to get out of the mess. Thankfully for Ramsay, he opted to go a different route, restructuring his business and selling off interest in several projects. He also managed to work things out with his wife, who he remains married to. Loves
Good job.
Ferrari. If there's one thing you likely know about celebrities, it's that not only do they often have an incredible amount of money, but they like to spend that money. Houses, yachts, clothes, you name it, and the rich and famous have likely bought a lot of it. Gordon Ramsay is absolutely no different. Like many celebrities who have a lot of spare cash sitting around, Ramsay has a very specific thing he loves to buy. If you thought because he's a chef it would be something like high-end pots and appliances, then think again.
Lame.
This chef has a soft spot for exotic cars, especially the Italian variety. On shows like Top Gear, Ramsay has mentioned that he owns all sorts of pretty pricey rides. His favorites, however, are from Ferrari. In fact, over the years, the paparazzi have snapped Ramsay getting into and out of all sorts of Ferraris. From his 550 Maranello to the special production F12 Berlinetta, this chef has great taste in cars.
Goddamn.
Of all of his rides, however, the creme de la creme is his very rare Ferrari LaFerrari Apparetta. With only around 200 built, this hybrid supercar is powered by a 6.3-liter V12 engine and cost Ramsay at least $1.25 million. Soccer career.
The homie played soccer too?
Life has a funny way of working itself out and guiding people down certain paths. Take, for instance, your own childhood. We bet some of you wanted to be cowboys or astronauts. What did you end up becoming? Whether a teacher, policeman, or real estate agent, odds are when you were little, you had different plans. Gordon Ramsay was the same way. You see, being born in Scotland, Ramsay was wild about football, or soccer as it's more commonly known in North America. Like any boy, this chef dreamt of playing for a top-tier team, scoring goals and lifting trophies. It almost happened. That's right, if life hadn't intervened, Gordon Ramsay could have ended up as a soccer player. During his childhood, he played a lot of soccer. In the mid-1980s, Scottish side Glasgow Rangers actually gave him a trial. This was a huge deal as Rangers were Ramsay's favorite team. Unfortunately, during his trial period, the future chef injured his knee and only did more damage to it with every training session and game. As a result, his soccer career came to an end. Today, thankfully to that injury, Ramsay is successfully serving up tasty dishes instead of goals.
Who is that kid yelling at him? Is that his daughter?
He's not a monster.
Well, that's good to know.
Regardless of whether it was all just an act for the cameras, if you've watched any of Ramsay's cooking shows, then you know he can be a real Jekyll and Hyde. One moment he's full of praise and compliments, then in an instant this chef can unleash a barrage of profanity and insults that leave contestants weeping and audiences hiding behind the couch. The lesson here? Whatever you do, don't forget an ingredient or burn a dish. The results are not pretty. So when we heard Ramsay had a cooking show with kids and a family of his own, we naturally assumed the worst. Interestingly, this uptight chef is actually quite nice around children. While we have no doubt his standards remain high, Ramsay has demonstrated that when a child messes up a task, the end result is usually a lesson learned, not a profanity-filled tirade. This was clearly demonstrated in the episode when Ramsay calmed a crying child chef and then proceeded to help her correct her mistakes. At home, he reportedly works hard to ensure his kids don't have the same foul mouth he does by giving them profanity substitute words they can use whenever they're angry or frustrated.
That's so cute.
All right, do you think you know the answer to which city in the world has the most Michelin star-rated restaurants?
I'm ready.
The answer? Tokyo, Japan. The Japanese capital has over 300 restaurants with this prestigious rating, and a dozen of those hold the highest 3-star rating as well. If all this talk about Gordon Ramsay has you thinking about...
That was freaking fantastic, man. Hell yeah, shouts out to the dude. Those are actually really good facts. And they weren't a stretch. Like, I hate when they take, regular people's stuff and try to, blow it way out of proportion. This was just this made a lot of sense. These are just good, old, regular facts. Dude had some troubles with his marriage. That's fucking cool. He almost declared bankruptcy, but then he persevered. I mean, that's just what a great life is made out of. You know what I mean? Growing pains for everything. He might be a world-renowned chef, but that doesn't mean he can, he knows how to file taxes like the rest of them. You know what I mean? So that's fucking cool, dude. But yeah, make sure you check out The Riches for more of these awesome videos. Some feel-good facts for one time. I'll see you guys in the next one, ChavezzSlovakia. Y'all take it easy. Peace.